Hey, what's happening, family? It's your man, Mar Black. You know what time it is. Welcome. Welcome to Sucka-Free Saturday. You know what time it is. You know what we do. Before we get started, just a couple of things to note. In the description field of every video, there's links to my social media. If you ain't following me on Twitter, you fucking up. Right? Make sure you join the Facebook group too as well. All you angry black sheep need to be collaborating with each other. All right. So make sure you join the group. Links there, right there in the. Well, I'm wearing a red shirt today, so let me, let y'all see it and everything. And also too, fam, if you haven't considered doing so and you like my work, please show the love and support the work, not by hitting the super chat, unless you want to, show me a little extra. That's great. But join my Patreon. A little as $1 a month. I'm asking you to put 5 on it, but it's all helpful and it's all appreciated. Now, before we get started, as usual, let me go through and shout everybody out. We got Miss Denny, of course, in the house. Made of Dade's in the house. Hindi and Newton's in the house. Black Man 903, I see you, fam. We got Toolbox in the house. Let's see here. We got Richard Byer in the house. What's up, Rich? I hope you don't ask me no question I don't know the answer to today, because you be hitting me with the motherfuckers, you heard? Minutes Till Dawn is in the house. Oh, yeah. I like that name. Minutes Till Dawn Productions and the Cool Man. And yes, I'm glad to be back. First of all, actually, second of all, because we already did the first of all. Second of all, need to make a couple of announcements. All right. I'm moving this month. There she is, beloved sister August. Shalom to you, sister. I'm moving this month, right? So we got a lot of prep to do, stuff to pack up. On the 30th, or the 31st, which I would normally be broadcasting on Sucka-Free Saturday, I won't be available. So there will not be a Sucka-Free Saturday broadcast for the end of the month. Unfortunately, it's due only to the move. All right. I intend to broadcast on Hump Day this coming week, or maybe Sucka-Free Saturday. I haven't chosen yet, right? I apologize for the intermittent broadcast, but as you all well know, moves take energy, they take time, they take effort. I'm asking y'all to stall me out. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you understand when your man isn't able to do the regular schedule. But soon as the move is completed, fam, we're going right back to Hump Day, Wednesdays, and Sucka-Free Saturdays, all right? As a matter of fact, fam, one of the things I wanted to talk about with you before I really kind of get started is a lot of people say, support my work, support my work, support my work, right? You know what I mean? And I get it, right? Media costs, okay? Everything costs. My computer costs, my internet connection costs, right? But let's not just talk about my costs, right? It costs you too. It costs you time, right? And if you're enjoying the media, that's time that you're willing to spend, right? And it costs you some degree of support. You're either going to be putting up with ads all over the place, or you're going to have your information mined and sold to the highest bidder, and so on and so forth. What I'm saying, fam, is that your media isn't free, right? I've had to learn that lesson because I too support various content producers, various media outlets, and so on and so forth, right? So the reason why I'm asking you to support me isn't just so that I make money off you. I want to give you an idea of some of the things that I'm actually looking forward to doing for you, right? As you're able to help me reach those goals. One of the things that I would like to do, fam, for you, Salam Ibrahim, welcome to the broadcast. One of the things that I would like to do for you is I would actually like to broadcast more, right? But because I'm doing it from my home, it's a little difficult. So when I reach a level of patrons that supports it, right? I'm aiming for like 2,000 a month, right? Nothing major, but about 2,000 a month in patronage, right? Because you guys are my patrons if you so choose to be. What I intend to do is actually rent out a storefront and set up an actual studio. And I will go there every single day and broadcast. We will talk about current events. I'll have call-in options that are much better than the one I have now. And this will actually be a media broadcasting outlet. One of the other things that I intend to do, as you all well know, I would like to get off of YouTube. with your support, what I'm looking to do is actually set up a web server with my own website, with Black Outcast Media Broadcasting's own website. So you don't have to come to YouTube and deal with ads and this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to come here and put up with censorship and them telling us how we speak and what we're supposed to talk about. You'll be able to go to your home, the home of the Angry Black Sheep, on the web, where we can get it live and in living color, saying what we like, when we like, and how we like, right? There's a lot of things, fam, that I have in my head that I would like to do, but I am only one man, and I am asking you for your support in that endeavor. If those are things that you're interested in, if those are things that you see will provide you with benefit, not just as a content consumer, but as my ADOS family, my ADOS brothers and sisters, then help me reach that goal by joining my Patreon. Again, as little as $1 a month is appreciated. I'm asking everybody to put $5 on it. If you can call it, call it. It'll only help us to snowball and reach some goals faster. So now, having said all of that, let's talk about snowballing, because today's broadcast is titled The Lash, right? Now, I have to admit, as an ADOS man, I'm not certain if the word lash exists in some place deep in my genetic memory or DNA. But whenever I hear lash or the word lashing, I have, unfortunately, a visceral reaction to it, right? I have this reaction of goosebumps, if you will, right? And it's uncontrollable. I can't really stop myself, from having the reaction, right? Because as you all well know, our ancestors went through hell on those plantations. I mean, fam, some of the most ingenious torture technologies that we're aware of were developed there on the plantations of the South. There were devices such as the whipping machine. The whipping machine was a plank that a slave was tied to, and it had straps, big, thick leather straps attached to a wheel that was soaked in water so that it would swell up and become really heavy. And then that wheel was turned over and over and over again, beating our ancestors with this heavy, wet leather as a punishment for anything. Maybe they didn't pick enough cotton that day. Maybe they sass-mouthed the overseer. Maybe they just seemed like they was feeling a little too good or a little too uppity that day. And they were subject to torture such as that. So, why am I discussing the lash? Because, fam, the lash, while it is torturous to us, is also one of our greatest weapons in our advocacy as ADOS people. Let me explain. You see, fam, recently we've seen things like CNN talking about starting an all-black talk show, whatever the case may be, with the Butter Biscuit Brigade. We're talking Angela Rye and what's that guy who ran for Andrew Gillum, and so on and so forth, right? We've seen Jay-Z come out and buck dance for, the NFL and so on and so forth for a little cut of the bread, a little nigga trinkets, right? We've seen all these different things. Now, understand, fam, one important thing. You and I, as ADOS, have been doing something that no one has ever seen in the history of the United States when it comes to black folk. We have been taking the lash to them. Do you understand what I'm saying, fam? For 246 years, our ancestors suffered under the lash at the hands of their lessers. For another 150 years, we suffered under the rope, the lash, the fire, the burning cross. But today, fam, through the advent of guided group advocacy, through our cleaving to our lineage and our heritage, through grounding ourselves in the data and being willing to speak every single time something comes up, not once. We don't win a single battle and think we've won the war. Every single fight on every single front, you can find somebody who's repping ADOS right there. We have turned the tide. We have turned the tables on all of those who have been used to us just simply acquiescing to lying on the plank, to being the ones who are taking the lashings. We are the ones who are delivering the lashings. And we're not just delivering the lashes to the Democrats and to the Republicans and to everybody else. We're delivering the lash to those internal enemies of ours, the bootlicks, the sellouts, the buck dancers. We have let them all know that the day of them speaking for us is over. That if they're not speaking our language, then they're not saying shit we want to hear. We're no longer allowing ourselves to be draped under this beautiful velveteen decadent veil of hyper-capitalist dogs like Jay-Z, who got us come up selling poison to our people, who got us come up rapping about poisonous lyrics about killing Negroes and doing this and that and the third, who then continued to snowball his rise to billionaire status by selling us liquor and basketball, who now is involved in the NFL as a peon, right? He's not an owner. He's a peon, a high-paid spokesman, similar to Puffy with Ciroc, right? They all have followed the same formula. Only this time, family, only this time, it's not working for them. I bet Jay-Z never thought he'd hear the day when we would be calling him a sellout. I bet he thought it would never come, that his wake-up call would never arrive. But it has. And you know who's doing that? You are. You are. We have turned the tables on everybody in America. Everybody. Including those of us who have used us and abused us internally for so fucking long. All of them are to be called to an account. All of them are called to the ADOS carpet to answer for their sins and their crimes against our tribe. And all of them, after due process, of course, will suffer the punishment. Today, fam, we talk about how we wield the lash. Jay-Z should have long been dead to us. We should have long been dead to us. He should have long been dead to us. By the way, let me shout out Zulu. Let me shout out Thomas B. and Colin. Welcome to your Sucka-Free Saturday broadcast. The moment this son of a bitch thought it was cool to get on an album and talk about all the dope he pushed, all the poison he pushed into our community, to be able to then come and rap to us about his crimes, he should have been canceled. Shout out to old boy Peach. Welcome to the broadcast. See, fam, we are the black sheep who have been led around by a whole host of Judas goats. Now, before you ask, Mark Black, what's a Judas goat? Let me share with you what a Judas goat is. In every herd, there is one goat that everybody follows. It's genetic for them. They can't help it. So when it is time to slaughter or shear or do anything to the herd as a whole, They don't go around trying to corral every single member of the herd. That would be ridiculous if you got hundreds of goats. No. All they do is go and corral the Judas goat. And all the rest of the goats will follow the Judas goat to whatever their fate is. Whether it's a brushing or a slaughtering. How many Judas goats have we followed? Al Sharpton, a Judas goat. All these different reverends and pastors and so on and so forth. Judas goats. All these people who tried to tell us, well, we can't really go that hard on these white folks because what about the jobs? Judas goats. Sellouts, bootlicks, Judas goats. Thank you, brother. I appreciate your support. Thank you for putting 5 on it. I need you to understand today, fam, that the lash is no longer for ADOS to be used against us. The lash is for now the freed slaves, right? The descendants of American slavery to pick up and to start wielding against our enemies, both domestic, international, internal, external, you name it, as us. We are no longer the conscience of America. We are no longer America's Jiminy Cricket. No, what we are is America's gold. Don't worry about it, Thomas B, man. I'm certain ain't nobody gonna sweat you for it. At any rate, I appreciate the support. And besides, love your government name, fam. It's a good name. See, I need you to understand something today, fam. I need you to understand something today. You and I, ADOS, Foundational Black Americans, DACS, BADASS, whatever your acronym is that ties you to our lineage and to our heritage, do you have any idea what you have done in the last 6 months? Just the last 6. Shout out to our Jizzle and Alma, Sister Alma. Yes, I'm doing very well, sister, and I hope you're doing the same. Welcome to the broadcast. In the last 6 months, you have rocked presidential elections. Don't believe me? Wasn't Kamala Harris supposed to be Queen Maid right now? Instead of fighting for her very political life? That was you. Jim Crow Joe Biden was supposed to be the second coming of Snowbomber. I don't think so. And who had a hand in that? That was you. Shout out to Mr. Spacely. Welcome to Sucka-Free Saturday, brother. It's good to see you. That was you. You have shook an entire political election. You did that. See, fam, damn it. We're so used to people telling us what we ain't doing, what we ain't accomplishing, how we ain't living, right? That we don't hear enough what we are doing, what we are accomplishing, and how we living and living well. And family, today, ADOS is on the rise, the ascendant. We have the whole political sphere shook. We got people talking about our justice claim, about the remediation, the restoration, and the repair of the American descendants of slavery from as low level as city councils up to the level of presidential candidates. That was you. That was us. Take a bow. Pat yourself on the back, fam. Self-care is important. Big up yourself. You did that in 6 months. In 6 months, you've shut down entire media voices to where it's become clear they don't speak for you anymore. A few names, such as August was talking about, Jonathan Capehart's weak-willed ass, Zerlina Maxwell, Angela Rye. We've shut them down. We've embarrassed them so badly that it's so clear that they don't even speak for us, that they look like caricatures when they get on TV. We're not even going to talk about the decimation of the person formerly known as Roland Martin. All the old voices, all the old lame-ass, weak-willed, bootlick, jelly-backed ass voices of the old dead and dying moribund black media are going the way of the dinosaur. Who in their right mind is listening to Tom Joyner anymore? It ain't me. Peace, beloved Monty. Welcome to the broadcast. All right, Jizzle, if I didn't shout you out, welcome to the broadcast. Happy Sucka-Free Saturday to you. Let's keep it a full buck, fam. Fam, let me tell you, we've called out and made clear that these people no longer support us. The Urban League, the NAACP, Ebony Magazine, the Congressional Black Caucuses. Fam, you did that in just 6 months. You've taken black polity and black economics, black media, and everything, and you've turned it on its fucking ear. We used to big up Spike Lee like he was just the bee's knees in movie producing and shit. Shut him down. They got our brother Antonio Moore, Tone Talks, on international TV on Al Jazeera to answer for why ADOS is announcing a boycott, which we will deliver on this Harriet Tubman movie with this bitch Cynthia Erivo playing one of our biggest and brightest luminaries. She's not my fucking Harriet. We did that. You did that. Let me tell you the story of one of the greatest ADOS people that ever lived. A man so great that an entire genre of movies was created about his life. Of course, with no credit to him except for those of us who remember him. Let me tell you the story of our esteemed ancestor, Bass Reeves. And yes, Alma, I'll quit insulting female dogs. Cynthia Erivo, I've had great, loyal, beautiful female dogs. I don't know what to call her. I'll call her a mammal. That's about as good as it gets. Bass Reeves was a slave, or I should say was enslaved, right? Let's get our language straight. Our ancestors weren't slaves. They were enslaved, right? Bass Reeves was enslaved. And then one day decided, you know what? Yeah, this whole slavery thing ain't working for me. So, master, I got something for you. And Bass Reeves picked up the lash and whooped his master's ass and walked off the plantation. Fam, did you hear what I just said? Bass Reeves, his first act of freedom was picking up the lash and taking it to the person that had applied it to him all those years. Before he was able to step off and become this iconic figure amongst us as ADOS folk, the very first thing he had to do was he had to pick up that whip, that tool of brutality, that tool of tyranny. And he had to take that whip, that symbol of his oppression. He had to pick it up off the ground, twined up with leather. And he had to take and double it up and take that motherfucker to his master like it was nobody's business, tan his pale skin hide. And then he was able to walk off that plantation. You understand what I'm saying to you today, fam? Don't worry about it, Alma. Look him up. He's one of our biggest and brightest luminaries. Our history is so rich in this country. Alma, you could spend the rest of your life studying all of the ADOS people you don't even know about. All of these heroes and heroines. All of these mighty ones. Don't be ashamed. Get your mind right. Exactly. The Lone Ranger. All those cowboy movies was based off of Bass Reeves. Bass Reeves was the archetype that cowboys themselves became based off of. But before he could become that great man, so great that white men imitate him to this day, he had to pick up the whip. And he had to turn to his master and say, not today. You and I, ADOS folk, we have been on a plantation. Now, trust me, I understand why we were there. Back during slavery, our enslaved ancestors talked. Believe it or not, there was more communication between plantations than white folks would care to ever know. Right? If you don't believe me, just ask your grandparents. They will tell you that their grandfolks used to go visit people on other plantations all the time. On days off, like Sundays and things like that, they would break camp. They'd have a lover on this plantation and a brother on this plantation. You think they wasn't visiting and talking? So there was a hell of a lot more connections than what we would like to think. And on those plantations, one of the topics of discussion that was always extant, that was always there, was who was a good master and who was a bad master, right? Everybody knew about the master who was quick to pick up the whip, who had the worst overseers. So when it was time for people to start talking about, when they were starting to talk about selling folk, those of us who were able would advocate to go to a plantation with a better master. And it wasn't necessarily because we wanted to keep being enslaved, but if you don't see a way out, better to have a master that treats you somewhat decent than one that don't. So after 100 years of supporting Republicans faithfully, after only 9 years of Reconstruction, Lyndon Baines Johnson agrees to enforce the law. And so we moved from the Republican plantation to the Democratic plantation, because the Democrats seemed like they were better masters. The Democrats at least talked about freedom for us, at least talked about opportunities for us. After the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act, jobs opened up in federal things like the post office, which was a damn good job back in the day. My grandmother worked for the postal service for 30 years. She retired under the old civil service plan. Her retirement was assured. She had a pension. And not no punk ass weak pension either. She had a real one. By the way, shout out to ADOS Black Sheep. I see you, fam. And thank you. I hope I don't have enough. Y'all need to be sharing this. Because I told you, today wasn't going to be about me taking the verbal lash to you. Today is about bigging you up and telling you where the lash needs to go. So we moved, we changed plantations, we switched masses. And for a while, it seemed pretty damn good on the Democratic plantation. Got some better jobs, didn't have to work quite as hard, got to, eat some bigger parts of the hog, right? Got to live not in the swamps or the muck, but I got to live up on some grass. Right, for a while, it seemed like being on the Democratic plantation wasn't so bad. But then we started to notice something, fam. We started to notice that even though we was on the Democratic plantation, we was still getting our asses kicked by the Republicans over on the Republican plantation. Now, what happened there? Well, it turns out that when we embraced the Democratic plantation, all of those old Democrats that hated the idea of black folk anything, ADOS anything, just simply packed up and moved over to the Republican plantation. They said, shit, what you mean we gonna share with niggas? Not today. They switched their party affiliation over to Republican. And so, of course, because the power in this country does this between the two wings of the same white supremacist bird, when the Republicans got on top, they just counteract all the stuff that the Democrats did to us. Now, the Democrats learned pretty early on, having a captive vote is pretty damn dope. So we just advocated a little bit for the American descendants of slavery, and they locked in, like they not going nowhere. So let's see what happens if we can advocate for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender people. So they did that thing, hoping to get another captive, a captive group. And they said, well, we passed all these laws to uphold the citizenship for the American descendants of slavery, but why limit citizenship to just them? There are other people that want to come here and take advantage of this great country which we built. Right? So why don't we, see if we can push for more immigration? See if we can get them as a captive vote too. Started off with the Marielitos in the 70s from Cuba, right? And so on and so forth. But it expanded. Pretty soon, you had immigrants coming from Africa and from Europe and South America and so on and so forth. But isn't it interesting, folks, that everybody else that they tried to get as a captive electorate, a captive vote, said they wasn't with the plantation shit. Many of the immigrant groups that come here vote Republican. Why? Because the Republicans are allegedly the party of family values. And most of these people come from countries where their family values are relatively conservative. So, of course, the Republicans is going to get those votes. Plus, the Republicans don't really give a fuck about the government all that much, except when they're trying to get rich off it. Most of the time, they're willing to let the government leave you alone, which is perfect for immigrants because most of them motherfuckers come from countries where the government is corrupt, where they got their hands in every single piece of every single pie. So to be able to come somewhere and just open up a business without a bunch of red tape, well, shit, that's helping them get the bag. So why wouldn't they vote for that? So just as always, we ended up being the mules, right? Building the infrastructure, stumping, caucusing, walking down shoe leather, canvassing for the Democrats so that they could give benefits and all of that to everyone else, trying to get the same captive vote from them as they got from us, except those people were already free. Why the hell would they come here and chain themselves to the Democrats, ADOS folk, we in the home of the Ben here. We've always known that at some point we got to deal with one or both wings of the white supremacist bird. But everybody else chose to come here. Or everybody else is member of groups that already had freedom. So why the hell would they chain themselves to anybody? So the Democrats push for gay rights and gay marriage and civil unions and all this and that and the third. And you know who benefited the most from that? Rich white dudes. Who, strangely enough, still have no problem, even though they're gay as the day is long, voting for the Republicans. Why? Because nobody has to know they gay. But people can find out pretty quickly if you're rich. So let's see here. Okay, I'm not really with the whole family values thing, but they're going to eliminate the estate tax and let me pass down my wealth to my husband. You tell me how hard of a choice that is to make for the motherfuckers. They gave everybody benefits under the guise of feminism. They made it to where now we back to the days of the 1800s for black men. You can't even be in a room alone with a white woman these days. If you work anywhere where there's a white woman, brothers, I'm talking to you. If you work anywhere right now where there's a white woman, if you have a meeting with this white woman, you better have somebody else in there with you. I'm just telling you. By the way, shout out to producer. I see you. Welcome to Sucka-Free Saturday, and shalom, brother Paul. I see you, fam. If you work with a white woman anywhere, if there's a meeting going on, it better not be just you and her in that room. Because on some Me Too level shit, she can come back 5, 10, 20 years from now and besmirch your entire character over a conversation your ass hardly even remember if it even happened at all. And so, of course, we're supposed to believe women. So now there's not even the appearance of due process for you. We're right back to the era of the black rapist brute, who just by his very existence is a threat to white womanhood and womanhood in general everywhere. Fam, I need you to understand that us being on the Democratic plantation is no better master than it was when we were on the Republican plantation. When we were on the Republican plantation, through benign neglect, we were able to see the rise of Jim Crow, right? The Republicans wasn't necessarily hating black people. They just wasn't willing to fight for ADOS or black people, right? So we switch over to the Democratic plantation, having a love affair with the Democrats, it seemed like. But here's the thing to note. Now they done got the cow, they ain't got to buy the milk. The cow just wandered on over to the Democratic plantation, so now they ain't got to buy the milk from you. They can sit there and milk your ass all day. And boy, did they milk us. They milked us after Reagan. They milked us after the archdevil Herbert Walker Bush. When Clinton came on the scene, they really milked the shit out of us. I mean, Republicans since the 60s can do some really dirty shit to ADOS folk. But man, in order to do the really dirty shit, it takes a Democrat. Sure, Ronald Reagan, really ramped up the war on drugs, and through the whole Iran-Contra thing was funding the pushing of dope into our communities and so on and so forth. We know George Bush actually had to go find a motherfucker to come and sell dope in front of the White House in order to make the war on drugs a thing for him, right? We know all of this, right? But it took Democrats to institute 3 strikes. It took Democrats to introduce the 100-to-1 sentencing disparity for crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. The Republicans can do some dirty shit to us. That's a fact. But for the real dirt to get done to ADOS folk, it takes a Democrat. They pushed off a bunch of bad subprime loans onto us. Part-time job, no job, don't want a job, no problem. You too can buy a house. Who in their right fucking mind would turn down basically free money for a house? See, fam, I get sick and tired of people blaming us for trying to take advantage of what everybody else in this country took advantage of. Now, the fact is that the pathology behind the fact that we now are losing homes at a rapid rate had nothing to do with the fact that we were taking loans. Everybody was taking loans. No, it was the fact that they was pushing the most bullshit, high interest subprime loans offered to even qualified black folk. They wasn't marketing them shits. You turned on Maury Povich in the 90s. No, take that back. In the early 2000s. There were 2 commercials you were guaranteed to see. Because we all love Maury's ass. In the case of 34, and 2-year-old DeWine, you are not the father. We love that shit, right? Okay, so you turned on Maury Povich in the early 2000s. There were 2 commercials you were guaranteed to see. 2. You were guaranteed to see some bullshit for-profit college commercial like Everett College, so on and so forth, right? Or you was going to see a Countrywide is on your side commercial. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. You were going to see either some bullshit for-profit college ad, right? Whatever the for-profit college was that was in your area, you was going to see one of them ads, or you was going to see an ad for no job, low job, don't want a job, fuck a job. Doesn't matter. You can get a house. You was going to see one of them. But didn't we find out later that Countrywide knew that they were pushing bullshit ass loans that could never be repaid? Not because the people didn't necessarily have bread. The very terms of the loan was structured to ensure that they could never repay it. Didn't we find that out after the whole bubble pop? That they was giving black folk, even qualified borrowers, loans that they knew they were structured to fail. So boom, 2008, a fucking bomb hit. Lehman Brothers goes down. AIG damn nearly goes down. They're talking about the collapse of the world banking system, okay? So instead of competition being the order of day under capitalism and letting these banks fucking fail, or coming in and actually helping out the victims, which were not the banks, but the people that they pushed these bullshit funny money loans on, we got Barack Obama in the house. And that motherfucker promptly gave trillions of dollars to the banking system. Trillions of dollars that belong to you and me. That's right. Obama saved Wall Street. Obama saved the economic system. Not by putting that money where it belongs. Not by giving it to the victims who were the victims of fraud. The victims of constant barrages of advertisements trying to trick us into thinking we could afford more than what we could. No. No, the real victims, according to Snowbama ass, was the banks. See, fam, the Republicans can do us real dirty. They can. But to do the real major multi-trillion-dollar dirt to us, it takes a Democrat. It takes a Democrat. Obama screwed us over 3 ways this Sunday, and we still, in 2019, 11 years after, 11 years after the bust of the subprime lending bubble, ADOS folk are still feeling the brunt of that. Everybody else is experiencing some degree of recovery. They set us up to fail, and they did it with the help of the motherfucking Democrats. By the way, before you think that was just, something they just pulled out of their ass, understand that it was a Democrat before them that even made that possible. Because it was under the Clinton administration that the repeal of the Glass-Steagall Act occurred. For those of you who are not up on your political shit, and you need to be, Glass-Steagall was a law that separated commercial banking from investment banking. Commercial banking is the banking you and I do as broke ass niggas. We go to a bank, we deposit our bread, we come take it out, right? We go and pay our bills, so on and so forth. We get our check deposited in there. Commercial banking, right? Investment banking is what the motherfuckers with bread do. They go and invest in stocks, bonds, commodities, options, and other financial derivatives. There was a law, the Glass-Steagall Act, that separated the functions of those two banks. If you were in commercial banking, you could not participate in investment banking. If you were investment banking, you could not participate in commercial banking. Now, why was there a firewall there? Well, let me explain it to you, fam. The firewall was there to stop the investment banks from playing funny money investment games with people's fucking life savings. Because we as ADOS understand that banks have been corrupt for us since the beginning. The Freedmen's Bank, we had millions of our dollars just evaporate through corruption and them taking our money and blowing it on shit and invested it in shit rather than keeping our money safe for us. This is why ADOS folk have always kept money under pillows and mattresses and shit, burying it in their backyards, because we got burned. The very first time we tried to jump into the whole banking system, they set us up to fucking fail. But of course, America wants to make sure that whatever happens to us doesn't happen to them. So Glass-Steagall was in place so that every day, work a day, average white citizens, the master race, is able to go and deposit their paychecks, pay their bills, do this, that, and the third, without worrying about some greedy bastard taking their money and investing it in speculative things that could fail and cause a bust of the bank, a loss of their funds. Under the Clinton administration, Glass-Steagall went bye-bye, just like our freedom with the, Biden crime bill and so on and so forth. So now, what did you see happen? Well, all of the old investment banks like JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, started buying up commercial banks. Because the investment banks is where the big money lived. That's where all the wealth really was. So they started buying up all the commercial banks. And then, as is their wont, they started playing financial games with you and I's money. So before even the whole subprime thing even became a thing, Democrats had already fucked the stupid by the repeal of the Glass-Steagall Act. I could go on talking about the .com bubble, where all you had to do was have a URL and an idea, and you could push an IPO and make billions that we were locked out of as ADOS folk. All of that happened under Democrats. Fam, today, you and I, as the American descendants of slavery, have an opportunity. Peace, Sister Joan. Oh, and by the way, I didn't shout out Q to Mayo either. Peace to you, Q to Mayo. Welcome to Sucka-Free Saturday broadcast. And CKD1's in the house too as well. We have an opportunity today, fam. Just like our esteemed ancestor Bass Reeves had. We got an opportunity to walk off the plantation. But before we do, there's one last thing that we need to pick up and make sure we take with us. We need to pick up the whip. We need to pick up the lash. And we need to turn to our masters, to the Democrats. And we need to lash them all across their naked ass with it. In 2020 and moving forward. No black agenda. No black vote. Do you support reparations for the American descendants of slavery up to and including but not limited to cash payments? Thank you, Minister Dawn. I appreciate it. He said, you are spitting real truth today, fam. You also earned a new Patreon. Thank you very much for that. I really do appreciate it. Before we walk off that plantation, we need to whoop they naked ass. We are no longer their captive electorate. We are not their vote that they can just count on in their back pocket. We're no longer the mule that sits there and goes, equal rights for women, equal rights for gays, equal rights for immigrants, equal rights for undocumented immigrants, while we don't get shit. While our cities rot from the inside out, a la Flint. No more. I need you and I to understand that we have a snowball that we've created with ADOS. Our tribal affiliation, our identifying ourselves as a distinct, unique lineage within the confines of the United States created a snowball. Your job and my job, should we choose to accept it, is simply to push that snowball down the hill. Pick up the lash, roll your snowball, and let's give everybody this work. Everybody, all of these sellouts, all of these ones that have used our affinity for rap music and for liquor, because it's nothing wrong with rap music and liquor. There's nothing wrong with wanting nice shoes. There's nothing wrong with any of these things. What's wrong is that the bastards that have pushed these things on us take our resources away from us and then use them to our detriment. Jay-Z said, hey, I'm about to get into music streaming with Tidal. Then you go to their offices in Sweden and it's nothing but white folks. But he's pushing that to whom? To you, to me, right? He locked in with liquor deals and this, that, and the third. Thank you. I appreciate it, fam. You feel me? He should have been canceled, fam. That's what I'm telling you. ADOS gives us now the language and the lens through which we need to view everything. It kind of puts me in that mind of that song, it's like, can it be that it was oh so simple? Like, can it have been this simple the whole time to understand that you and I are family and we are all we got? And that it is time for us to let all plantations die. Not just the ones we walked off of in antebellum times, but the ones that we live on today. It is time for us to pick up the lash. Moni says, as Tone said, we coming. Thank you for the love, sister. I appreciate it. It is time for us to pick up the lash, turn to everyone who said that they were our master, everyone who thought they was better than us, everyone who told us to forget about our lineage, to forget about our history, to forget about our justice claim, to just go ahead and jump on the hyper-capitalist fuckboy train. All of them gets the lash. Every single one of them gets this work. And you roll your snowball. And eventually, fam, I can promise you, as your brother and one who loves you, eventually, they're going to have to deal with us. America ain't going to like it. America going to have to be dragged kicking and screaming to it. But America's going to have to deal with us. I appreciate it, Tina Fey. I appreciate it. Thank you for the love. They are going to have to deal with us. Maiden Dave said, Pac said, fuck Jay-Z. I hear you. I hear you. I got mad respect for Tupac for one reason and one reason only. He didn't make it selling poison to my people. Sorry. But even if his bars ain't as great as Jay-Z's, which you could argue, because I'm a huge Pac fan, but you could argue all day his bars ain't as great as Jay-Z's, guess what? He wasn't a traitor to his fucking people. Tupac Shakur was ADOS from the time he was born up until the day he died. And it was snakes that ensured that he died. But like the Professor Black Truth says, white supremacy always breaks his toys. Isn't that right, Suge Knight? Isn't that right, Suge Knight? White supremacy always breaks his toys. You wanted to be this millionaire, billionaire, rap music mogul, right? How you liking them prison bars, motherfucker? Today, fam, I honor you. In 6 months, you have done what previously been considered impossible. You have shaken up the entire political status quo in this country. You've got everybody from right-wingers to progressives looking at you going, huh? What? You got all these socialists who was like, socialist power, you people of the world, workers of the world, unite. Then we start talking about, but our tribe first. And they're like, nah, we can't really ride with that. You got democratic socialists like Bernard Sanders who want universal everything for everybody except you. And you made him admit it. Well, I'm not certain. What do you mean by reparations? You know what the fuck we mean, Jew. The same thing that your people got. From their 10 years, 11 years of suffering under the Nazi regime. They were restored, made whole, given a whole damn country. How about that? How about we start with that? Because last time I checked, that was referred to as, what's the word, Ms. Diddy? Reparations. If you understand what you have been able to do in 6 months, imagine, fam, what you can do in 6 years. Cleaving together under your heritage, under your lineage, my fellow tribes people, my tribes brothers and tribes sisters, right? It's our turn. It is time to walk the fuck off the plantation. Grab your whip and follow your man Mark Black. And let's do work. Let's do work. It is time for us to say bye-bye. This slavery shit ain't working for us no more. Reach up and pick up the lash and start taking it to their naked ass. Captive electorate my ass. Captive vote the hell I look like. Thank you, Double C. I appreciate it, fam. It's good to see you. So you know what time it is, fam. It's time to hear from you. You know what time it is. 425-296-1980. Let's talk about it. What's on your mind, right? This your day. Big yourself up, ADOS, Foundational Black Americans. Do you know what you have been able to do in 6 months? No other group in this country could accomplish what the children of the impossible done. No one else. That's right, Alma. Richard Wolff, he said, reparations, blah, blah, blah. I mean, all these so-called Marxists, Leninists, socialists, leftist scum that we all thought was on our team because they was talking this universal brotherly love shit. When it came down to it and we said, yeah, but us first, the honeymoon is over. The bloom is off the rose. ADOS has outed so many people that we all thought were allies. People like, damn, I don't even know if I should say his name, because you know they say if you speak of the devil, you talk him up, right? You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to say, let's just say the learned one, because that's what his name translates to from Arabic. The student, the learned one, the learner, right? I'm not going to say his name. But how many of y'all thought he was conscious? He was woke. He was on the team. He was there, boots on the ground at Ferguson. Come to find out, we understand later on that he had hands on money that just simply magically disappeared that he can't answer for, right? ADOS, you and I outed that fool. Look at what you've done in 6 months, picking up the Lash and taking it to everybody who thought they were your betters. And imagine what we're able to accomplish in 6 years, as long as we do two things. One, cleave to our lineage and our heritage. And two, get with as many of us as possible. I need to be making more me's in you every single broadcast, or it ain't worth doing this shit. So find your place, my brother, my sister, on this broad battlefield that we have. Pick up your whip and start lashing. They're not ready. They was never ready. There's an old saying that I like to refer to. It stopped being fun once the rabbit gets the gun. Right? See, they talking about all these mass shootings and gun control and all this and that. And they're like, let's not politicize, these events. And, we need to have a national dialogue and discussion. Till that brother up there in Philly shot 5 police officers in a standoff. I bet you didn't hear nobody talk about let's not politicize that incident. That's right. Dare we say the failed rapper? Right? I bet you all those people that were talking about, let's not politicize gun control. See, fam, because you got to understand something. America's for everything for everybody, as long as it doesn't include you. They want guns in every household except yours. They want health care in every household except yours. They want free education in every household except yours. They want the ability to start a business by just going outside and posting up a sign. They want that for every American except you. They want to see a little white kid out front of his house selling lemonade because that's enterprising. But they want to kill a little black man selling water outside on a hot day because that's a crime. So as ADOS folk, fam, you have to understand that America cannot have anything until they give it to us first. That's as simple as that. Moving forward, that's how you have to operate. August, it wouldn't surprise me if the brother in Philly was suffering from an undiagnosed mental illness. You'd have to just start dumping at every cop in the Philadelphia Police Department. But guess what? Nobody's going to talk about the need for mental health care for black folk, because they want mental health care available to everybody except you. They want education for all children in America except you. Anybody harmed by government policies gets cut a check except you. Our people are extrajudicially executed by law enforcement, if they're even punished at all. If there's even a settlement, they get a few $1,000,000, which I'm certain the family needs and all this and that and the third. White woman gets killed by a police officer by Muhammad Noor. She gets $21 million. Even in your murder, you're worth less. They want payment for justice for every dead body of theirs and nothing for you and yours. But Harold is right. White supremacy is on his deathbed. You know why? Because the mules of America are rebelling. The slaves are running off the plantation. And we're picking up the lash on the way. All these people that thought they spoke for us, all Sheila Jackson Lee and James Clyburn and John, I got my ass kicked in Selma Lewis, and all the rest of them, Cummings, all of them being exposed for the frauds that they are. Mark Morial and the Urban League being exposed as the frauds they are. The NAACP talking about immigrants built America. The NAA motherfucking CP said immigrants built America. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, which, by the way, back in the day just meant niggas, said that immigrants built America. And ADOS got on that ass so cold they had to take it down. They had to take it down. They deleted the tweet. They was like, fuck this shit. Who's these ADOS motherfuckers? You feel me? Fam, that's what you've done in 6 months. You've taken organizations that are hundreds of years old and told them, guess what? You're dismissed. Thank you for your service. Now fuck off. You've exposed so many people that we thought was on the team. People that we thought was us. Isn't that right, ASAP Rocky? Yeah, ASAP Rocky was about being in them hoes' draws and buying Gucci and Fendi and shit till his ass got locked up in Sweden. Then he want to come looking for us. Wait a minute, we don't know you. Who you? Because when we needed you back when the Ferguson uprising was happening, you didn't have shit to say. Fam, let me tell you something. Before I end this broadcast today, this is something I actually meant to talk about during this broadcast. And since ain't nobody called in, I'm assuming that means y'all want to hear more of your man. So here it comes. We need to have a talk about these celebrities real quick. I need you to understand one simple thing. Just one. There is no celebrity, ADOS or not, who deserves your advocacy, who deserves your efforts on their behalf if they have not extended any efforts on our behalf. Let me repeat it for those of you who are in the cheap seats. If a celebrity has not spoken out on the needs of your people, your tribe, for a black agenda, a comprehensive reparations scheme, then no matter what it is they're facing, whether it's the Rich Paul rule or whatever their case may be, no matter what it is that they're facing, you don't say shit. Now, why am I saying that? I don't think I should need to explain it, but I'm going to anyway. I'm saying that because, fam, part of us picking up the lash is understanding that unless we all get it, none of us get it. Right? It's a mindset that we haven't had since we brought here on the boats. Right? When we first were brought here on the boats, we organized, regardless of whether you were Mbundu or Mende or Fawn or whatever, right? None of that mattered once you hit the shores of America. But over time, we bought in through our acculturation to this hyper-individualist mindset that I don't have to be accountable to you niggas. I don't have to concern myself with what I say to niggas. I don't have to treat niggas with respect and esteem and care and concern and love. I don't have to be thinking about all of y'all. It's all about me. I got to get the bag. And you motherfuckers do nothing but interrupt me getting the bag. No. See, fam, that's a luxury under white supremacy. White folks can be individuals. They can spend their entire lives and never have to take a stance on really anything. Right? They can live their entire lives, be born, raised, live, and die without actually having to stand on anything. And that's perfectly normal for them. Why? Because the whole system is set up to make it possible for them to be able to do that. But for ADOS, the personal is political, and political is collective. Killer Mike sitting there caping for Jay-Z. He's one to watch too. I don't give a damn how many times he comes and appears to bend the knee in front of Tone. He comes and speaks to Tone one way, and then when he's around them white folks, he talk another way. But you know what though? Jason Black says something that I find particularly salient at this point. He said, if you want to hear the truth comes out of a black person's mouth, put them in a room full of white folks and have them ask them a question and see how they answer it. Because, you know what I'm saying? Killer Mike came to us basically like, oh, I'm just trying to learn and I'm trying to understand and I'm really trying to get behind what y'all on. And so you just point me in the right direction, brother. But then when he get around them white folks, it's a whole goddamn different ball game, isn't it? Willie D is another one. Willie D talking about if your criticism of the black community outweighs your contribution to the black community, you are a coon. Well, by his damn very own definition, he's a coon. And isn't he running for office down there in Houston for the Houston City Council or whatever? Y'all need to be in that fool face 24/7. And you need to pick up your Lash down there in Houston and hold his ass accountable. Isn't Scarface also too running for office? Yes, he is. Damn all this worship. I'm going to tell you something. Yvette said politicians respond to pressure, not applause. I'm going to expand that. No disrespect to my sister, my beloved sister Yvette, but I'm going to expand on that. Celebrity does not respond to applause. They respond to pressure. Celebrity is the same as politicians. Don't believe me? Watch what happens when a celebrity get caught in some fuck shit. Very first thing they do is go and apologize to their fans. Why? Because they understand one important fact. Their fans pay their bills. They fans pay the bills. But for us as ADOS, We're so damned aspirational. We look at people like Jay-Z, Angela Bassett, not throwing shade at Sister Bassett. I don't know if she's done any off-brand shit, right? But just using names of celebrities. We look at these celebrities in a way thinking that one day we may become them, right? Like cracks in the pavement that roses grow out of. You feel me? We aspirationally believe that because they made it, we too can make it. And so rather than holding our entertainers in their fucking place, right, which is when you talk, you need to be speaking on behalf of the people or you shut the fuck up. We let them just run roughshod. We just let them. What up, Golden Dinar, by the way? Welcome to the broadcast, fam. We just let our celebrities just say whatever and do whatever. We let them come to us and talk one way, but then when they get in there with the white folks, they talk something completely fucking different. And we let that slide instead of taking the lash to their black asses. I am done watching my people being blanketed under a decadent veil of black celebrity. If they do not speak up for us, and I don't mean us individually, like we get caught up in some fuck shit, here comes a celebrity. No, if they're not talking collective uplift and collective growth, collective remediation, restoration, and repair, if you don't want this one, you can have this one. That's right, Golden Dinar. We need to be ending these fools' careers. I need to see Willie D not be a thing no more. That's real talk. Don't you, as ADOS, don't you want to look forward to a day where Jay-Z can only be around white folks? Because he can't come around us? Because he's booed? Because he's shaded? Because he's told, get the fuck out? That's the lash. Fam, we have a standard. For everybody that says we don't have a standard that every black person in this country who American descendants of slavery can't get behind, that's bullshit. We have American descendants of slavery. It's a standard. It's a lineage and a standard. It's saying if you are not us, you are one of them. Like in the Matrix, he said the agents are everyone and they are no one. If you are not ADOS, you are potentially an agent and you are automatically suspect. And the moment you open your mouth and say anything that is not on code, the lash. The moment you get around them white folks and start talking real clever all out the side of your neck, the lash. And not once, every single time. Every single time. You come around us, praise singing and all this and that and the third, but then you want to get around the white folks and say, now let's talk business. You jockeying for position with other bootlicks for the reign of butter biscuits from white supremacy. And yes, fam, it is time for a house cleaning. Don't listen to those people who try to tell you, oh, y'all go harder on black people than you do anybody else. You goddamn right we do, because we got a plague in our household. We have a pox in our house. And we need a purification. We need to strip away the masks of all these people who we all thought had our backs. We need to strip away the facade of all these people who talk to us one way, but talk to everybody else some way different. Do not listen to those people that tell you, well, you shouldn't be talking to other black people like that. I have one question to ask you. Why the hell not? We are all acculturated with white supremacy as a part of our culture. So if we don't question everybody and everything, then we just continue the damn status quo. There's nobody who is above reproach. ADOS, we don't have no sacred cows except our ancestors. Everybody else can get fire, shade, and smoke and the lash. That includes me, that includes you, and that includes them. If they don't want to be accountable to us, that's fine. Take your ass over there with white America and you go over there and deal with them. And then when you get your nigga call, your nigga wake up moment, right? Your nigga wake up call, don't come running to us. You signed up for that. You was built for that. When they pass a Rich Paul rule to try to stop you from getting your come up, you deal with that. Sounds like a problem, fam. Good luck with that. Don't come running to us. LeBron, don't come running to us. All of them. Damn them celebrities. We made them. We can break them. We can end them. Matter of fact, fam, truth be told, y'all ended careers for less. There was a brother who produced, wrote, and starred in a movie about one of our brightest luminaries, the inestimable Nat Turner. May he rest. And y'all canceled that man over an accusation that he was found not guilty on decades before. Oh, and because his wife is white. Y'all done ended people's careers for less. Caller from 773, it's your man Mark Black. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's on your mind?
Shalom, Mark. Shalom to the chat room, Miss Denny. Yeah, this is August calling. I want to remind everyone that with the whole Jay-Z incident, Jay-Z sellout, I should say, this is actually not the first time that he's done this.
No.
If you remember back in, I think this was back in 2010, well, 09, somewhere around there. If you remember, he partnered with Barney's. Barney's is the high-end
That's right.
luxury.
Yes.
The luxury store.
I remember
when? Oh, okay. So remember when they were profiling all their black customers, and the customers were taking them to court, and of course, it was I don't know if it got too many mainstreams, but because I follow a lot of fashion and retail websites, so it was pretty big, in the fashion and retail world.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, you remember that? Yes. So this is not. So right afterwards, so they put to get the black face, they called out to Jay-Z. And what did Jay-Z do? Jay-Z says, makes some excuses like, well, this, I'm not going by sound bites and, this kind of the same whole spiel that he did with this NFL thing.
Yep.
So this is not the first time that this Negro has done this.
August, what do I say all the time, sister? When somebody tells you who they are, believe them.
Believe them. Yeah. Yeah. The great Maya Angelou. Yeah, she said that. When they show you, so like I said, this is not the first time that he's done this. So if he did it then, when he knew that black people were being profiled, and it was more than one, it was quite a few incidences of Barney's profiling black customers.
That's right.
Who had gone in and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. In one incident, one young lady had spent several $1,000s on a handbag. And they would go the security after a black customer would purchase items. They said security would go behind them and see if their credit card was good.
Yep, I remember. So Barney's was known for Barney's was huge.
Barney's was notorious for profiling black customers.
Yep.
And when the black customers started, suing them to save face. Who did they call none other than Jay-Z to save, to save their, pathetic reputation at this point.
Absolutely.
And what does he do? Tucks tail, goes scurrying like a little mouse that he is. Go, okay, I'll do it.
Yep. Absolutely.
So to me,
you right, sis. Go ahead. Do you?
yeah. So to me, this is nothing new for him.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even the least bit surprised what he had done, that he did this.
Right.
That he became the face of the NFL.
Man,
I'm not the least bit
if
surprised.
I was Colin Kaepernick right now, I'd be looking for Jay-Z. I'm just saying. I'm not advocating no violence. We would have a
I know.
intense discussion.
Intense.
Right? If I was Cap, I'd be looking for Jay-Z right now. Real talk.
And I think there's quite a few other people that's looking for Jay-Z as well.
I'll be looking for that
so,
fool.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah. So when all this broke, the news, when the story broke, I wasn't even the least bit surprised. I mean, like, why should we be shocked? He's done it before.
Facts.
So if he sold out then, just for some, I don't know, for recognition or fame, money. I mean, he has plenty of that. So what was, what was the point of partnering with Barney's after all these stories of them racially profiling black customers,
sister,
black customers. I know I'm not with.
No, let me, because you asked the question, right? So let me, if I can address it, because the answer actually is really simple, and I can't take credit for it because Miss Denny dropped it here in the background. When you heard them fools rap back in the day, there were three things that they demanded. And it was telling, by the way, it is telling that the last item on the list should have been the first thing. And then the first thing on the list should have been in the middle or maybe even last, right? And that was money, power, respect. Right? What's the old refrain? Money, power, respect. What you need in life, right? Money, power, respect. So that's what it's all about. See, for Jay-Z, he got the money, right? So what comes next? The power. And then after that, if he's lucky, he might make it to respect. But if you notice, that's always last on the list, right? They don't give a fuck if nobody respects them, right? If they get the money and the power, they figure they can buy respect. Or at least a bunch of yes people that'll make them feel like they're respected. So there's the answer to your question, sister. What he gains from it is he gains some little modicum, or at least in his mind, a modicum of power. Look at me. I'm Jay-Z. I make moves. I make power moves. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman, right?
I remember from a interview he did some years back with the infamous Charlie Rose, where he said that his goal was to be like I think the guy at that time, I don't know if he still is, because I don't try to pay too much attention to a lot of this stuff, but he said that he wanted to be like the guy who was at the time, I believe at the time he was the president of Disney, the Disney Corporation. I don't remember the guy's name. But anyway, he's, powerful, white man. He said that he wanted to be, and that stuck out to me. In this interview, he did this, several years ago. But that always stuck out to me, that he said that this is what he wants to be like. And I'm thinking, like, now after the NFL thing, I'm like, okay, so this is how you do it, where you alienate your base. First of all, you partner with Barney's after they racially profiled black customers. You partner with the NFL, who totally mishandled the kneeling. Instead of addressing it,
Sister August,
they make up all these.
The chat said it was Michael Eisner who was the president of Disney at that time.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, Yes, him. Yes, that is him. Yes, he said that it was his goal to be like him. He said it was his
Isn't it
goal to.
interesting?
Yeah.
How many of these people out here that are of our lineage whose whole aspiration is to be a white man or a white woman? Let's keep it a buck, fam.
Yeah.
We ask questions on this broadcast, right? Because when we ask
Yeah.
questions, we get answers. How many of our people have had as their life's aspiration to be white folks, right?
Well, there was that time when Oprah said that she wanted to be Mary Tyler Moore. So I guess it's in these, how these celebrities become. I guess it's in their DNA.
Yeah.
That these celebrities, or my friend would say, don't say celebrities, say entertainers.
Yep.
So I guess it's for these entertainers to model themselves or pattern themselves after white people.
You know what?
I'm guessing.
And here's the thing.
I'm guessing.
By the way, shout out to my esteemed brother Gab. It's good to see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast and welcome to Sucka-Free Saturday. Sis, let's take a look at something real quick, if you will, with me. We'll take a
Mhm.
ride with your
Sure.
man here.
Mhm.
When we understand power in this society, we understand it in certain ways. But there's a power that we have had that I would say has been buried, right? That has
Mhm.
been hidden, not from us because it's in us, but more along the lines of it's been suppressed through multiple modes, through acculturation, through education, through religious practices, and so on and so forth, right? And I want to ask you what you think about this. Do you believe that the very first thing that we as ADOS, as the American descendants of slavery, have to give birth to in this new era is the power of justice?
Mm.
Now, the reason why I'm asking this question, sister, is very simple.
Mhm.
We have been the conscience, if you will, right? I'm not shading us for this. I'm just acknowledging a
Mhm.
truth here. We have been America's conscience since before there was an America, right? We have been the
Mhm.
canary in the coal mine, the arbiter of all things moral, good, and true in this
Mhm.
country, right? No doubt. Okay. However, the one thing that we as ADOS have never done in America is we have never been the arm of justice, right?
Mhm.
So when you think about conscience, right? Conscience eats at you, and then you feel repentance, remorse, and so on and so forth, right? And that all works fine and dandy if you're appealing or dealing with somebody who has a conscience when it comes to
A
you,
conscience. A
right?
conscience.
But
Mhm.
we have notoriously dealt with America as if it has a conscience that it is
Conscience.
clear through the
Mhm.
evidence that it lacks. So when you are dealing with something that is unconscionable or someone who lacks a conscience, is
Mhm.
it is it wrong to focus so much on conscious, like being conscience, or I'm sorry, being the conscience, rather than delivering justice, right? Because at some point you have to stop appealing to someone's moral conscience, their moral compass, and you have to say, okay, you obviously are not going to change this behavior. So, what do you think about that,
Right.
sister?
Oh, you remind me of something. Funny you should mention this because I saw a clip maybe a few days ago of Malcolm Nance, our favorite
Mm-hmm.
whatever he is. He said that black women, and I've heard this before. Black women are going to be the kind of like the saviors of the Democratic Party,
Yep,
and
that's a common meme that's out there.
I resent that.
You
I
should
resent
resent
that
that.
because that's, pardon me.
You should resent that, sister.
Yeah, because that's like saying that you want us to be the like you said, the moral conscience of America. And look, we have been toting that. We have been toting that veil, and this and that, however it goes.
Mm-hmm.
We have been doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
mean,
why should we continue being a moral conscience, as you said, for people who are have no moral compass? I
exactly.
mean, that should be evident. That should be evident at this point.
Look,
They have no moral compass.
mercy without justice is sin. And I'm sorry to have to say it that way because we are a
Mhm.
merciful people. We don't like to see nobody on the hot seat, well, except us. We love shading each other, right? But when it comes to
Yeah.
everybody else, we hate seeing other people go through things, right? This is how they're able to really kind of yank us in, right? Our first instinct when we see little kids on the border who's trying to get in, who might be hungry and just came out of the desert and all of that. For ADOS folk, our first response is to go straight to the heart, right? So we feel some kind of way about it, you dig, right?
Mhm.
And they
Yeah.
traditionally, this country has used that moral sense in us as
Mhm.
a tool for their advancement and a weapon against us, right? My
Mhm.
question to you that you can ponder on at your leisure, right? And that we all should ponder upon is at what point do we stop being merciful and start being filled with the spirit of justice, right? When do we stop trying to say, hey, this isn't right. You shouldn't do this. This shouldn't be happening. And we start working as an active, an active arm of enforcing justice upon America? That's a question
Mhm.
that I
Mhm.
want to leave you with and that I want all of us to have. Sister, I'm going to let you have the last word.
Well, as Tariq Nasheed says, he said the kitchen is closed. I say the kitchen is shut down.
Facts. Facts. Sister, I
Shalom.
I love you as
Shalom.
always. You know, you always bring it again.
Shalom.
You make sure you call in anytime and shalom to
I
you
sure
as well.
will.
Peace to you,
Shalom to the
sister.
chat room, Miss Denny.
Bye, sister. Fam, I need you to understand it. Mercy without justice is sin. We have, in a sense, I'm not blaming us for this, and I need you to understand this. I am not blaming us for being who and what we are. What we have done, though, is we have allowed our moral compass to be manipulated. You can take a compass, right, a regular compass, and hold it in your hand, and it will point to magnetic north. You know how you alter the direction of magnetic north with a compass? With a magnet. We've let America put magnet after magnet after magnet around our compass and have allowed our moral compass to lead us down the primrose path while everyone goes to the land of milk and honey and the fatted sheep. We need to be swatting the hands away holding the magnets. We need to start being the arm of justice in America. No more conscience, justice. In my humble opinion, is your brother and one who loves you. Fam, the line is open 425-296-1980. Let's talk about it. Richard Byer, what will that enforced justice look like? Will the white people be forced into servitude in the name of justice? Nope. First of all, justice ain't about nothing more than the establishment of balance. What we live in is a system of imbalance. We've had 246 years of free labor, mental, intellectual property, and all of that taken from us. Another 100 years of basically free labor, right? Racial terror, lynchings, the whole 9 yards, defrauding, redlining, you name it, and so on and so forth. What this enforced justice looks like, it looks like right now at least, no more appeals to morality. ADOS isn't about trying to convince people of the rightness of our justice claim. We are convinced of the rightness of our justice claim, and thus we fight for it. Now, as we gain more power, as we harness the spirit, if you will, of justice, we will then be able to force changes in the status quo to bring things back into balance. Will there be people affected by it? You're goddamn right. Will some of them be white? Yup. Will some of them be black? Yup. Will some of them be Latino or Asian? Yup. And good on them, because a lot of people have gotten out of pocket. A lot of organizations have gotten out of pocket, out of balance. So yes, some people are going to be affected by our enforcing of what we know to be just, right, and true. But I want to ask you a question, Richard, if I may. Does anybody else ever think about the effects of their enforcing whatever they see as justice upon us? Does anybody else in this country ever consider what justice is supposed to look like when it comes to us? Because for everybody else in this country, they're comfortable with the extrajudicial executions of our people. They're comfortable with the defrauding of mass millions and billions of dollars from us through, loan schemes and Ponzi schemes and so on and so forth. If you leave justice up to America, then what you have is what you end up with is what we have already. And no one considers what justice is supposed to look like, or how it's going to affect, or what the enforcement of that justice is going to look like when it's on us. So, Richard, that question, while I'm glad to have had an opportunity to answer it, is really a null question. Why should you be concerned about what justice for ADOS looks like when it's forced upon everybody else? When we finally hold this country to account, we cannot be concerned about what it looks like to them. Revenge for the past. You got to explain that shit, because that sounds like some white folks shit, to be honest. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because it is. ADOS has made it clear from the beginning, right? If you look at Tone and Yvette's work for the last 3 years, their whole effort, their whole goal, their whole aim is about making recompense for past crimes and sins committed against the American descendants of slavery and are moving forward as one nation. How the hell can we do that if there's a call for revenge? You have never even heard me call for revenge against America for what it's done. No, I demand justice. Justice is different than revenge. Vengeance has nothing to do with justice. Justice is about balancing out the scales. Vengeance is going beyond that. The Quran says that when you go up against your enemies, fight them, but do not transgress the limits. It is just for you to fight to restore balance for you and your people. But to transgress those limits, to seek vengeance, makes you just as vile as they are. Now, I know I'm taking a moral stance on that. So be it. I'm establishing a clear standard that criminality, that injustice, that unrighteousness, whether practiced by the greater dominant white society or by us, is anathema. We can have justice without vengeance, but we can't have vengeance and justice. So, today, pick. If you want vengeance, you're going to find yourself off by your goddamn self, facing the full wrath of a unified nation that chose justice over vengeance. And that's the facts, Jack. Ain't nobody talking about forcing no white folks into no servitude and this, that, and the third. Damn all that. Servitude, servitude itself is bullshit. It's anathema. First of all, You couldn't do it anyway. The law of the land, which we're asking to have applied to all of us as American citizens, is that no one can be held in involuntary servitude. That's the 13th Amendment. Slavery is illegal. And it should have been from jump. I'm just sad that it took them so long to figure it the fuck out. I'm sad that it took so many of us fighting them to make them finally say, wait a minute, this slavery shit ain't really working out, right? And even then, they try to re-enslave us every generation. So what? We're supposed to somehow or another gain power so that we can do the same damn thing that was done to us to them? And that's supposed to be justice? That don't make sense. I don't want vengeance. What I want is remediation, restoration, and repair. I want the scales to finally go back into balance, and I want to be an American. Is that okay with y'all? Like, are you all right with that? That Mark Black just wants to be a normal fucking American, to live my life as I see fit, to cleave to my people and my heritage and be able to honor that from generation to generation without it being erased, whitewashed, backburnered, disrespected. Is that okay with y'all? Because that's what I'm angling for. I ain't advocating enslaving no white folks. That's dumb as fuck. And by the way, if anybody's out there on that shit, you already know they suspect anyway. They sure enough is. Those Hebrew camps out there talking about, yeah, when we come into the kingdom, we're going to have 50 Edomite, hoes, and they're going to do whatever y'all stupid. And I'm telling you, you stupid. All these rabid so-called black nationalists who say, when we get a state of our own, we're going to be putting the white folks in it. No, you're not. So please stop bullshitting yourself and us. Callers, the line is open, 425-296-1980. Talk to me, fam. This ain't just my broadcast, it's yours too. I want to thank everybody, by the way, today who joined the Angry Black Sheep on Patreon. I really appreciate your love and support. I also want to thank Double C's. I want to thank Tina Fey, Moni, Minutes Till Dawn. I can't thank you guys enough for picking up the mantle and riding with your man Mark Black, right? I appreciate your love and support, and I hope to continue, as always, to be worthy of it. Fam, I'm going to wait one couple more minutes, maybe, 425-296-1980, then I'm going to wrap it up and let y'all go ahead and enjoy y'all's weekend. In the meanwhile, let me reiterate, because I'm preparing to move here in the next couple of weeks, I got packing to do. I'm hoping to do a broadcast Wednesday, no guarantees, but I'll probably do a Sucka-Free Saturday next week, right? So I want to try to get in both broadcasts next week, but if I don't, I'm definitely doing one. As the Sucka-Free Saturday broadcast at the end of the month, I will not be doing, because I will be in the process of moving, right? So please understand, I'll be back, right? And so on and so forth, right? Alma, damn, what a great comment. I'm even going to read that. If we enslave white folks, we'll probably be enslaving ourselves right along with them. Imagine the energy it takes to maintain that system. Facts. Fam, I'm sorry. I don't have slavery in my DNA. I'm not interested. There ain't nothing about enslaving white folks that's even appealing to me. Sorry. But I can't be free to live my life and be my own life's master as long as I'm a master over somebody else. I would have thought that went without saying, but I guess I was wrong. Thank you, Alma. Matter of fact, I'm going to finish it up on that post right there. That was the comment to end all comments. Fam, thank you so much for your time as always. Check out the links in the description field below. There's links to reports, books, resources there. Get up on your advocacy. If I didn't make a new me this broadcast, I fucked up. So don't let me be a mess up, right? Get out there and learn what you need to learn to hold it down for your people, for your tribe, and do this work, all right? And until next time, fam, as always, I want to wish you all love, peace, prosperity, and power, real power to our people.